Hello there! It has been a while since I've recorded one of these videos, but I thought, considering so much has happened in the past few months on a global scale, I wanted to share a little bit my experiences of how I tried to handle this in my own digital marketing campaigns, and then maybe later on compare how you guys did it. So let's backtrack by what feels an eternity, which was the start of March. And obviously in March we saw a global pandemic. Nobody knew what was going to happen, but in the end we basically saw a shutdown in the entire Western world, and in the entire world basically people were told to stay at home, businesses, physical locations had to close, everything was coming to a standstill. So the first question is, of course, how do you respond to this in marketing? And basically, since all of the projects I am working on sell non-essential goods, so like neither groceries nor medical supplies, everybody made the decision to pause their ads for the time being to just see what's really going on and to let people hoard their groceries first, make sure that they're taken care of before pushing our supplemental products into their faces. And retrospectively, I think that was the right choice, because in March everybody was thinking about basically survival and these kind of concerns, and not really so much about any additional purchases. For me, April was a really interesting month, because April was a month where some of my projects started going back towards lead generation. The thought being, okay, everybody is bored at home, looking for some distractions perhaps, so it's the right time to nurture them closer towards the purchase. And at the same time, we use this also in a few projects to kind of refactor the user experience, kind of really take a deep look at our data, at our Google Analytics, at our Hotjar recordings, to figure out what kind of small things we could improve. Or maybe we could improve the email copy, the amount of emails we send out in a sequence, going into these things that usually you might not have enough time for, but now finally we had the clarity and we had the focus to just do this while we waited for some normality to return. And then May, at least here in Central Europe, May kind of brought back some of this normality. People were allowed to leave the house again. People were slowly returning back to their daily habits. So for many of the products I'm working with, the question was now, okay, we got to start slowly pushing for sales again, but what kind of budgets do we use? And this, I think, really depends on the vertical that you're trying to market. For example, in the tourism vertical, quite surprisingly, we actually saw some really good results in May, because apparently we were one of the first advertisers in our geographical market to advertise travel products again. And people were apparently yearning for like at least short trips. So we saw some really, really good results, because the competitors were not there yet, but we were. So this was one interesting experience of May. And then late May and early June saw one more thing of global significance happen. The entire Black Lives Matter movement really became a very relevant topic again, and it also affected brands. Especially in the US, brands really had to decide if and how they would take a stand in this movement. But even in Europe, in the week of this Blackout Tuesday, I think it was the 2nd of June or so, this day that had people posting just black squares without any content. Basically, it also meant for brands here in Central Europe that they had to tone down their messages to not be involved negatively in this kind of social movement, obviously, because you don't want to be seen as tone deaf or trying to use this for your own benefit, these kind of things. So this was also really, really interesting to see how to handle it in different markets with different target audiences, etc. And then finally, ever since I would say mid-June, we're almost back to normal, at least in certain markets, which means revenue is back to almost pre-crisis levels, as well as ad budgets, as well as competition. But obviously these really depends on the type of products and the type of audiences, and also who knows how it's going to continue. If there's really an even bigger financial crisis coming perhaps, who knows how this is going to affect customer behavior in the future. So it's going to be, I guess, some very interesting months ahead, also regarding the health, the second wave, etc. So I always try to ask myself the question, what can I myself learn from this? And I think one thing that really was an interesting lesson here is how to navigate crisis. Because in the end, this was really uncertain times of crisis. And I think one thing that I'm taking away from it is it's good to make a fast decision at the start to not continue running ads. I think that was really the right choice in this time of mid-March. And then the other thing is also for me to really use the time where there's probably not the possibility to run super high performing ads in like April, for example. It's the right moment to take a look back and analyze your data and try to make small optimizations, kind of improving your foundation so you can build on it once the building starts again. That's kind of how I tried handling it. But yeah, we're still learning, and every day is a very interesting day in these times. So I would love to hear how you handled this crisis so far, how you've experienced it in your marketing campaigns. I would love to have a conversation about this. Until then, have a great and successful day, and talk to you soon.